That being said, let's jump into our message this morning. I want to continue to talk to you about fasting, and everybody groans. I want to continue to talk to you about fasting this morning. If I haven't convinced you as of last week, I hope to do it so today. But I left off last week asking these 4 things here, or statements, number 4. First is, are you ready to seek God with all of your heart? I encourage you to take these home and to really mull them over, pray over them, think over them. Number 2, are you ready to depend upon God to be your sustenance? Number 3, are you willing to sacrifice so that we can have a great year? And 4, this is a statement, God is waiting for your reply. If you have considered these 4 things, really taken them to heart, and are saying, yes, I'm ready for this week of fasting. I'm ready and I'm willing to put aside my own desires because God is awesome. That's not just a cool statement. You know what awesome is? Awe-inspiring. To me, things that are awesome are like being out. We did a VBS out in South Dakota, and I was out in the middle of nowhere, sitting on top of the truck as this big storm came in and fully encompassed around me, and it was just pitch black until the lightning goes. It was awesome. Why? Because it made me realize how small I was. And in light of how small I was and realizing how big God was in his creation, it was awe-inspiring. That's how God is. When we think about God and know him and get into a relationship with him and then understand that he actually wants to be in a relationship with us, it's awesome in the truest sense of the word. So today, I want to talk to you about fasting, what it is, and why I should fast. Or should I? Today I want to talk to you about that. Fasting is one of those lost spiritual disciplines of the church. It's not something that a lot of people today do anymore. There are a lot of questions surrounding this topic and a few misnomers that I want to tackle. And I also want to help those who have tried to fast in the past. I want to try to help you win. I want to see you successful. I want to see you getting closer to your God. I want to see you overcome during this time and not to be overcome. I also want to talk to you about how frequently you should fast. And if you, maybe it's not even right for you to fast right now, and I want to kind of touch on that. As you might know, and for those of you who don't, we're starting a fast tomorrow. So go ahead and fill up today. Tank off. But we're going to start tomorrow this church-wide fast, and it's going to last through Friday. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, no food. Let's say it together. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, no food. Okay? You should be able to remember that. My mom, when she was teaching me stuff, she would always put it to music, and I still know how to spell mother to this day because of that song. No, I'm not going to sing it for you. But Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, no food because we're going to be fasting, and it's going to run through the 10th. Each day has the same format. We're going to meet here together 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. here at the church. And it's a time for you to come and spend time with Jesus. This will be a prayer time to break up your routine of the day and force you to pray. These nightly prayer meetings, this is where we can all come together and pray as one body. And after we pray together, we can all sit around and talk about how hungry we are. So I highly encourage your participation and attendance. And if you're capable and if you're willing, I'd love to see you here. But this morning, I want to help us understand fasting a little bit better. I kind of touched on it last week, but really just 40, 30 minutes of talking about one thing doesn't exhaust it. And so today I want to talk about it a little bit more because, like I said, I want to see you succeed. I want to see you grow close to the Lord. I want to hear how you made it through your fast and not how your fast brought you to the point of giving in. I believe knowing why you fast will help you get through the tough times of fast. You know, a lot of spiritual disciplines are understood in name or in title. Like, oh, yeah, that's fasting. That's something my parents did. And then you get into an adulthood and you get into being called into fasting yourself, and you don't necessarily know why you're fasting. So I believe it's important to know why you go into this fast. What is it that you're seeking? What is it that you're moving towards? What answer are you waiting on the Lord for? What is it that you're fasting for? I don't want you to do this fast with just an attitude of, well, I don't understand the purpose or intention of it, but I'm going to do it. No, I want you to understand the purpose. I want you to understand the intention of fasting. So if you don't understand fasting and you try to fast, you're not going to fast very well. You're certainly not going to fast very long. This whole experience, it brings about a physical discipline, really, because you're saying no to your physical desire. But it brings in a spiritual discipline too, because you're forcing your body to come under the submission of your spirit, and that is to grow closer to the Lord. And like I said, it's a spiritual discipline, and fasting is one of those spiritual disciplines that can either be great for you or it can cause you a lot of frustration. And fasting is not simply skipping a few meals. Okay, I want to make that clear. It's not just skipping a few meals, and I'll get into that a little bit more as we go on, but I want to run us through today 7 truths about fasting. And you might say, okay, well, why 7? Well, it's simple. It's my favorite number. So we're going to go with 7. And 7's also easier to talk about than 8 things. So 7 will be easier. You don't have to laugh. It wasn't that funny. It's okay. Okay, so jumping into number 1. Jumping into number 1. Know why you are fasting. That's the first point. We need to understand why we are fasting. You, on an individual level, have to determine your own discipline, your own desire, your own purpose for fasting. We are, as a church, fasting for a specific thing, and you'll know that when you come to the prayer meetings from 6 to 7 every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You'll know why we are as a church fasting, but you on an individual level need to know why you are fasting. What is it that you're pushing for? If you're fasting because somebody from a pulpit told you to fast, then you really need to investigate your reasons for fasting, because that's not a good one. If you're fasting, though, because Jesus demonstrated fasting, and you want to become more like Christ, then we have a really good, sturdy starting point, a good foundation. Excuse me. Because fasting is a spiritual discipline. Okay, so I said fasting is not just skipping a meal, right? But how can skipping a meal be powerful? Because skipping a meal in itself is not powerful, is it? I pretty much skip breakfast every morning, almost every morning. Skipping a meal in itself is not powerful because skipping a meal is not fasting. That's why it's not powerful. So fasting is not just not eating, but denying yourself and replacing your need for physical food and physical comfort with a spiritual dependency. Now that's powerful. Let me ask you, how hungry are you right now? If I said, hey, we got the bus outside, we're going to Golden Corral, who's ready to go? Mike's already out of his seat. On a scale of 1 to 5, how hungry are you right now? Just take a personal assessment. How hungry are you right now? 10, 1 to 5, that's not an acceptable answer. No. So many of us are probably like, yeah, I'm okay. It's almost noon. I know food's coming. I can hold out for another half hour or so, another hour maybe. But I know food's coming, so I'm not going to listen to that hunger voice too much because we know food is coming. But when you start and you're like, hey, Monday breakfast, scrambled egg. I meant prayer. That's what I need, prayer. Bible reading. I can wait till lunch. Oh, wait, I'm not going to eat at lunch either. Oh, I can wait till no, not dinner either. I'll eat tomorrow. No, not tomorrow. Friday night? What? I got to wait that long to eat? I'll kind of get into that in a little bit here. But the volume of the voice of hunger experienced is directly proportional to the attention that you give that voice. If you give in to the voice of hunger often, you begin to hear that voice of hunger more and more and more and more and more. This is how I see the voice of hunger. Remember him? Cookie Monster? But if you deny that voice and control that voice, then that hunger is not controlling you any longer. You're controlling it. Just like any other addiction, it tends to show outwardly how often you listen to that voice inwardly. The power of fasting is not in the dismissal of food, but in the denial of flesh in order to feed your spirit. Our flesh is constantly being fed, isn't it? Just think about it. How many stop at just one delicious salty chip or Takis? Or in my case, El Pastor tacos or Bertha's chicken tacos. Just one's never enough. We're feeding ourselves constantly feeding ourselves, literally in some cases getting fat on just us. Just the taking in of our own need. Just the absorption of everything about me. You know, when I feed myself, it's not because I know my kid's hungry, right? If your kid is hungry, then you give them food. But when you eat, it's all about you. It's all about me. We kind of call the people that say me all the time, we call those people toddlers. But what Scripture does is it says, hey, you should be eating on meat right now, but look, you're still on the milk. Scripture calls us to grow up. And fasting is a really good way to denying ourselves so that we can get out of the way so that the Lord can grow us up. The spiritual discipline of fasting really helps to understand what the Scripture refers to as two natures. Everybody say two natures. There's a sinful nature, say sinful nature, and a what? Spiritual nature. Very good. So when we're not hungry, when we're getting hungry, we acknowledge that, hey, my man nature, my flesh nature needs something. So what do? We feed that body, right? But what do we do when our spirit nature, when our spirit man is crying out for more? What do? We need to be fasting. We need to be praying. We need to be reading the Word. But when you're hungry and denying the one in order to feed the other, we then experience just how much we favor our flesh. And our flesh represents our sinful nature over our spirit man. Fasting is powerful not because God is responding to our religious observance. It's like some people, I think, believe it's like, well, God's going to see my piety. He's going to see my religious fervor. He's going to see how I'm responding to him. And he's going to see how I'm denying myself and causing myself pain, literally pain. My stomach hurts. And he's going to say, oh, sweet child, I have pity on you. Here's more of me. I think that's how some people view fasting, but that's not how it goes. When we fast, we crucify our flesh. What happens when somebody's crucified? They die. They're killed. No more. And when we kill our sinful nature, we are then left only with our spirit nature. So fasting is one of the quickest ways and most effective ways of seeing flesh die and spirit come alive. Romans 6:6 says, knowing this, that our old self was crucified with him in order that our body of sin might be done away with, so that we would no longer be slaves to sin. It goes on in verse 13. And do not go on pretending. Say this. Do not go on pretending. You know how many of us in our Christian walk are pretending? We're pretending. Don't do that any longer, he says. Do not go on pretending. I'm sorry, I should have backed it up. It says presenting. What we do is we pretend. Sorry, I should stick to my notes, I know. But what we do in the Christian walk is we go on pretending that what we're doing is we're presenting ourselves right. Look at me. Look at how right I am. Look at how beautiful I am. Because look, my attendance here. I got an A+. I got a gold star. We're presenting ourselves constantly as this right member. That we're right with the Lord. Look at me. Look at how religious I am. I'm so good. But what is going on here is don't go on presenting the members of your body to sin as instruments of unrighteousness, but present yourselves to God as those alive from the dead, and your members as an instrument of righteousness to God. The correct way to present yourself is to die to flesh. When we die to flesh, we live to God. So don't go on pretending as if we're doing what we're not doing, because you're not fooling anybody. We need to present ourselves correctly. Then it goes on in 16, do you not know that when you present yourselves to someone as slaves for obedience, you are slaves of the one whom you obey, either of sin resulting in death or obedience resulting in righteousness? It's not that eating food is equal to sin, but the frequency and the participation in eating is the closest representation of the frequency and participation of sinning. We can sin in either our thought, our word, or our deed. The things we think about, the things we say, the things we do. The frequency of how often we feed ourselves is like the frequency of how often we allow sin in our life. And so when we fast, we're saying no more compromise. I am not willing to compromise any longer. I will deny myself in order to get him. That's what we're doing when we fast. When we fast, we're saying no to sin and yes to righteousness. The power of fasting comes through the denying of self and dependency on God. It's, I think another misnomer is that fasting is like heaven's diet plan. It's like, oh, if you should fast because that'll, help you lose weight. That's not the intention of fasting. That's not the right order of fasting. When we fast, we're reminded constantly of how hungry we are. And when we fast, we need to translate that desire for hunger as the desire to sin. Because if nobody was watching, right? It's always touted as that way. Righteousness is what you do when nobody's watching. So let's just put your vice in front of you, whatever it is. Let's just, in this case, call it peanut butter. Nobody's watching, and there's a jar of peanut butter. Are you going to watch? Are you going to take it? Are you going to grab hold of that thing that nobody's going to know you did? Nobody's going to know you ate that peanut butter. Nobody's watching you. But if righteousness says no to that and you say yes to it, you need to fast to break that bond of me saying yes to the things that I should not and no to the things that kill me. Yes to the things that I don't do, like seeking the Lord. If you don't seek the Lord, get into a fast. Break that routine of not seeking the Lord and start seeking the Lord. If you don't read the Word, get into a fast. Start reading the Word. Get that habit into your life. They say 21 days makes a habit. You ever heard that? Unless you do hard drugs. 21 days creates a habit. So maybe you need to do a 21-day fast. Maybe you need to get into a routine where for 21 days straight, you are going to do nothing for yourself, but everything to get the Lord in you. You're not going to feed yourself, you're going to get it in you. Do that 21 days, 3 times a day, where you take an hour, 3 hours a day, really, and you say, I'm going to pray, I'm going to read the Word. I'm going to pray and read the Word for 3 hours a day. Imagine what would come out of your life. Man, wouldn't that be awesome? To have a church full of people that for 3 hours a day they spend with the Lord. I wouldn't even need to preach. It would be cool. It'd be the best job in the world. No, I love preaching. But how often are you reminded that you are hungry? How often? Every moment, right? When you're in a fast, every moment you're like, wow, I'm really hungry right now. So fasting brings about the opportunity to remind yourself every moment that you desire righteousness over sin. Fasting brings about the opportunity to exercise authority over your flesh in favor of a spiritual pursuit. 1 Corinthians 9:23, it says, I do all things for the sake of the gospel, so that I might become a fellow partaker of it. I discipline my body. Let's say it together. I discipline my body. I discipline my body and make it my slave, so that after I have preached to others, I myself will not be disqualified. I'd love everybody to write that down and to take it home and to really ponder it, to really ask the Lord to bring the truth of his word to you through this portion of Scripture. All things for the sake of the gospel. So that means, hey, I've got to be okay when conviction comes into my life because I'm sitting there watching Batman when I know my neighbors don't know about God. I've got to be okay with, Lord, make me okay with completely being taken up with myself when I know that people in my own family are dying and going to hell and I could care less. You have to be okay with that because that's what the gospel is for, is to seek and save the lost. And when we follow the gospel, we're following the one who gave everything for the ones who want nothing of him. So we need to adopt this attitude, this understanding to do all things for the sake of the gospel, so that I might become a fellow partaker of it. And then in verse 27, I discipline my body and make it my slave. How often are we a slave to our own desires? So that after I have preached to others, you know what we call that person who says something and doesn't do what they say? A hypocrite. What does the world say the church is full of? Maybe the church isn't fasting and praying. Fasting is a part of a spiritual fitness and a training plan. It is a work, but it is just as a physical exercise is good for the body, fasting is a spiritual exercise good for the soul. I like this quote I'm going to throw up here in a second. It's from a very handsome man, but I think this quote correctly understands fasting, and it will help the mindset in the struggle. At least it did for me. Let's throw that quote up there. Yeah, it's a good-looking chap, I should say. But I said, I know my flesh. I know my flesh is screaming. But my flesh is also what convinces me to sin. I will die to flesh so that I can live resurrected with him. When a denying of that sinful nature comes, we focus on the spirit nature and allow that to be our focus. Okay, so here's number 2. Point number 2, pray during your fast. If you're going to commit yourself to this fast or any fast down the road, you need to commit fully, completely. Don't do it halfway, do it fully. Fasting is not an eating protest. Fasting is a discipline of replacement. through the spiritual discipline of fasting, what we're doing is we're replacing the carnal with the cross. You're replacing the dependency for creation, that's food, for the dependency for the Creator. What's it say in the end of Romans 1? It says that we have exchanged the truth of God for a lie and seeked out and worshiped creation instead of the Creator. Look up Romans 1. Look up the end of Romans 1. Look at what happens with the people that follow through with seeking and worshiping the creation rather than the Creator. That's not something you want for your life. So if you are at work and you have a lunch break, don't skip your lunch break. Go out to your car if necessary to get some quiet time with the Lord. Replace it. Replace the food with spiritual food. Bring your Bible, bring a pen, bring an empty notebook. Bring yourself before the Lord so he can speak to you and you can listen. So for the parents, I don't advocate for kids to fast for a lot of different reasons. But once you have made their food and they have eaten, take equal time in a Bible story. Pull up Right Now Media, watch that Bible story unfold before their life, and then talk with them about it. Engage them in your fast. Do it as a spiritual discipline of your home. Let them know why mommy and daddy are not eating food. Demonstrate that spiritual discipline to your children. Point number 3. Is it okay to fast? Some might get hung up on the notion that a good God should not require us to keep away or ask us to give up something that we need to keep us alive. Like, how God loves me? Why would he instruct me to not eat food? Well, science kind of tends to believe or think with a God perspective on this one. A few years ago, CNBC in their Modern Medicine section released a statement claiming a fast or a fasting diet reduces biomarkers for aging and disease. This is science. The article also went on to say the Research Institute also put rodents on a fast, mimicking diet twice a month for 4 days. At the end of each fast mimicking diet period, blood glucose levels were 40% lower, a finding the study authors suggest may show that fasting can help with diabetes and other degenerative diseases. Okay, sounds like it's good for the health then, right? Fasting has just been another example where science is confirming what Scripture has been saying for thousands of years. That fasting is good for the body, it's good for the mind, it's good for the soul. So when you take a break from eating, your body is given the chance to process the stored energy and rid itself of toxins, harmful things. You know, I don't be alarmed, but don't let this persuade you out of fasting. But several years ago, when I just had come back from Bible college and got plugged into the church here, before I was voted in as co-lead pastor, we did a church-wide fast. And 3 or 4, I think it was 5 days into the fast, I experienced a crisis of health. And it's because I was so overweight. For years and years, I had been storing up emotions, medicines, toxins, sugar, and I was going into a fast, and then all of a sudden, I started losing that weight, and so those fat cells started to secrete what they had stored up in them. And so all of a sudden, my body just was flooded with emotions and toxins and sugars and chemicals, and it was ridding itself of those bad things. And so through that period, my dad helped me through it, and I survived. I didn't die that time. Other times, I had to die to self all the time. Actually, I still have to die to self all the time. But fasting helps get your junk out of you. It helps rid your body of toxins, literally poisons, that it's saying, hey, these are not good for us. We need to get these out of our system. and it rids us of the things that shouldn't be there. Point number 4. Who should fast and who should not? Well, if you're a nursing mom, not a good idea. Don't do that to yourself or to your baby. If you're over 60, consult your doctor. If you're taking medications that require you to eat when you take your pill, eat only what's appropriate to take your pill. Don't be foolish, be smart. But don't also use it as a crutch to say, oh, well, I took my one pill today. I'm just going to have 3 more meals with it after I've taken this one pill. God's watching. No. It's probably not a good idea to skip out on taking your medications if you need it. However, answering this question of who should fast, the answer really is every believer. Scripturally, the answer is every believer. I say that and I mean this. Every believer should actively pursuing the death of self, the death of flesh, the death of worldly pursuits, and every believer should be actively replacing death with the life of God. Point number 5. If you are going to fast food, not fast food. I mean, don't do fast food. I mean, you should just not do fast food in general. But if you are going to fast food, just do it. Do it. Don't kid yourself. You're not kidding yourself. You're not kidding God. You're not kidding anybody else that knows your car and sees it pulled into Taco Bell. Like, you're not kidding yourself. If you're going to fast, fast. Every man, literally, every example of fasting in Scripture, it was somebody not eating food. But in the church today, there are 1,000,001 ways to fast, but there's only one way to fast according to Scripture, and that's by stop eating food. The other stuff like TV or entertainment, that's not fasting. This is called, if you give up TV and entertainment, that's not a fast. Don't consider it a fast because that's just called good priorities in your life. That's called giving up TV. That's called having standards of righteousness where I'm not going to let that filth into my home. If you're listening to secular music, stop. Because you're just pumping Satan into your mind constantly, literally through your ears. You're constantly pumping in worldly obsessions, worldly things, worldly ideologies, constantly just filling your mind, your heart, your body, and your soul with hell. Guess what? Your life's going to turn into hell. Well, I can't understand why this is going on. Well, because you're shaking it like it's 1999 or whatever that song was. I don't know. So if you're stopping watching TV, that's not fasting. I probably got the reference wrong, right? Did I get it wrong? I don't know. I don't listen to that junk. Party like it's 1999. I don't know. Whatever. But if you're stopping TV, stop TV because it's good for your soul, not because you're fasting. If TV and entertainment are causing issues or distractions in your life and taking focus away from God, and if you respond by reducing your involvement in them, don't call that a fast by not participating in them. Call that maturity. Call that making good decisions for your home. Call it upholding a standard of righteousness, a standard of excellence in your home. You can even call it spiritual maturity. If it takes you away from the Lord, call it out. Don't call upon it. Here you got a guy cutting up a pepper with a big knife. When I was in Bible college, it was a very popular thing for students to do what's called the Daniel fast. But they would still eat piles and piles of food. This isn't fasting. I know it's not popular to say, but it's not. It's not fasting. It's not fasting. This is called changing your dietary intake. If your so-called fast has replacement is replacing one kind of food for another kind of food, that's not a fast. and it shouldn't be called a fast. If you can find on the internet different recipes to mix up your fast during the Daniel fast, you're not fasting. You're just eating differently. Stop torturing yourself with vegetables. Eat a stinking steak. Be happy. Enjoy life. A good steak cooked correctly doesn't even need sauce. Like, you don't need A1 or just cook it right and eat it. Enjoy it. Don't call filthy the things God has called clean. I like steak. All right, it's obvious. The point of fasting is to die to self. If you're still feeding yourself while you are fasting, you're not fasting. You're just eating differently. People will say for the Daniel fast, well, Daniel had this spiritual strength. He was even able to stand before lions. It's not because of his fast. Daniel's ability to be locked up with the lions was not because of what he ate or did not eat. It was because the Lord was with him and shut the mouths of the lions. I mean, be kind to the lions. Get some meat on your bones. Give them a good meal, at least. Don't just eat vegetables all the time. Except for you, Alfonso. You need to eat more veggies. No. I'm only saying that because he told us that. I'm eating more vegetables. It's because the Lord was with Daniel. It's not because of his disciplines of food. It was because he said, as a standard of my life, that I am not going to eat things that have been sacrificed or have been given over to idols. It was because he set it as a standard of, I am not going to participate in the worship of idols. He was not willing to compromise his belief in Jehovah God and follow with the worship of idols. It was because of his standards of righteousness and holiness and his commitment to his God. That's what kept him safe in front of the lions. It wasn't because he only ate veggies. He said no to idolatry and he said no to sin. But doing that, he was saying yes to God. So when you fast from food, you are living out words of Christ when he said in Matthew 4:4, it is written, man shall not live on bread alone, but on every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God. So what is bread? Food. What is spiritual bread? The word. Who was Jesus speaking to here? Satan. He was talking to Satan. So when you deny food, just as Jesus denied the bread that Satan was tempting him with, you are, as Jesus was, saying to the tempter that you choose God's word, not distractions, keeping you from really keeping you from what matters most. You're becoming more like Jesus when you start to speak his word over your life and live with the same motivation, conviction, and demonstration as he was displaying. Point number 6, last 2 points. Knowing how long you are going to fast before you begin a fast. This is important. I am going to fast from Monday through Friday. That means Saturday morning, everybody's going to hit the buffets, right? No, know how long you go into your personal fast. Go into it with a plan, with an intention, with a purpose. Know when you're going to start. Know when you're going to finish. Know how long you are going to begin your fast or be in your fast before you begin. If you start the fast and go until you get seriously hungry, you're only going to last a couple hours. The length of your fast does not determine your spiritual rank with the family of God. If you're new to fasting, maybe start a 24-hour fast. Go without eating for 24 hours, but not just not eating, replacing your meal times with the Lord. Devour his word. Pray and eat. Sinful nature will give you every reason in the book. It's going to even throw in a couple reasons that aren't in the book of why you shouldn't fast. But if you have determined the length of time before you begin, you are setting yourself up for failure if you get out of that plan. If you deviate from that plan, you're setting yourself up for failure and compromise. It's common within the first few days that you're going to likely be a jerk. You're going to be crabby. You're likely going to have headaches. You're going to have reactions to not eating sugary foods and carbs and things like that. You're going to be cranky. You're going to be on edge. But you're going to be given the opportunity to give the worst of you to God and not lash out on the people that you love the most. You may even get a little sick. Your body is naturally going to purge out all of the bad stuff that you've been storing onto. So, cut out the sugars. Cut out the chemicals. Cut out the caffeine. The things that you have been telling yourself and convincing yourself that I need this to function. It's a cute saying, but in our kitchen we have a placard that says, all I need today is a little bit of coffee and a whole lot of Jesus. Yeah, it's fun to say that, but it's not true, is it? All I need today is a whole lot of Jesus, period. So try it. Try relying on Jesus to make it through the day. Try to have 20 minutes with him in the morning instead of brown legal stimulants known as coffee. Unless you drink decaf. And then it's just not doing anything for anybody, because then you just have coffee breath and you're going to cast people away anyway. If you're going to drink decaf, why not just drink the full strength? Get the benefit of the caffeine. What's the purpose of decaf? Ugh. I don't like coffee. You're just replacing your need for sustenance with the need for the Lord. You're going to go through withdrawals. Your flesh is going to try to keep you bound to what controls you. Remember, the flesh is what causes you to sin. So it may be foolish to the flesh to fast, but that's kind of the point. It's foolish to the flesh, so stop listening to the fool. Last point here. Fasting is a way of life. Fasting regularly is one of the lost spiritual disciplines of the modern church. Fasting is not religious observation for the sake of looking good or looking like a committed Christian. Fasting is to be a regular practice of a believer denying themselves in order to see the spirit nature triumph over the sinful nature. Most of us would agree, I hope at least in this house, most of us would agree that prayer is good, right? Most of us would agree that reading the Bible is a good thing, right? So why wouldn't we agree that actively spending time denying ourselves in order to see victory over sin as an important thing too? The Beatitudes, Matthew 5, chapter 5, chapter 6, and chapter 7, this is kind of like Christianity 101. But in there, Jesus he's saying, when you give to the poor. He's not saying, well, if you've made up your mind and you decide to give to the poor. No. He's talking to believers and saying, this is what a believer's life consists of. When you give to the poor as a thing that you're going to do. Jesus also used the same language, and he said, when you pray. Not, well, if you decide to pray to me, that would be great, but if you're going to do it this way. He said, when you pray. Emphatical definition of I am going to. Jesus also said, when you fast. So we, as the modern Christian church today, need to really evaluate, am I even doing what Christ said a believer should do? Not if you should fast, or if you have time to fast, or if you, it just falls on a wrong time of the year, it messes up my plans. No, when you fast. It's a statement of when you do. Jesus says, he says, humble yourself. Don't flaunt your piety, your good status of holiness. Don't flaunt it to people, but go out of your way to not brag about your religious devotions. Last two ideas I want to leave off with. It'll only take 2 minutes to get through them. One is your family right now is dying for you as parents to fast. Your kids are not guaranteed to go to heaven. Okay? Me, I've said it before, yeah, it's funny, but we're raising little heathens. We can't take it for granted that they are going to fully devote their life to Christ. We cannot take that for granted. There is a real living monster, Satan, roaring around looking to devour your children. And you're going to sit there in religious piety and say, I don't need to fast. That's what we're doing. We're putting our nose, we're thumbing our nose to God saying, I don't need to pursue you. You pursued me. Look how valuable I am. I'm your daughter. I'm your son. It's foolish. That's foolish. Don't listen to the fool. Humble yourselves, fast and pray. The second challenge I want to give you is, my wife and I have already talked about it. She's a nursing mother, so she's not going to be going as extreme. She's going to do more of what is considered the Daniel fast, limiting her sugar and not doing sugar at all, actually, and limiting that way of her so that she can still sustain life to our kid. That's a great thing. Thanks, Heidi. But what we're going to do is the money that I would have consumed in food, we're going to give that away. The money that I would have put and invested into my big old investment, I used to jokingly say this was my biggest investment. It's, thank God, getting smaller. The money that I would have given to myself in food, we're going to give it away. And we're going to give it to missions. We're going to support missions with that money that would have just been consumed. You can go a week, if you're a modern, average American, you can go a week without eating and still survive. And we take for granted the food that we have. But some of our missions, our missionaries, are in countries where they don't know if they're going to have food tomorrow. And we're here taking it for granted. Lord, have mercy on us. So I want to challenge you that with you. Do this week of fasting. The food that you would have bought, save that money and give it to missions. Come next Sunday, I want to also say it this way. If you are continuing to give to missions and you have not filled out a faith pledge card, faith promise card, we need you to do that because we don't know if we have or can count on your support to continue sending that money to those missionaries. And if we don't know if we have your support, we're not going to be able to support missionaries any longer. So right now, there are people that need to fill out faith promise cards. Otherwise, we have to reevaluate how much we're supporting our missionaries. And if we lose a missionary, that's horrible, right? So I encourage you this week of not eating, save that money. Don't reinvest it and say, oh, well, look, I saved all this money. This is not for personal gain. This is for spiritual death to self, alive to Christ. So take that money and give it away. Give it to the poor. Give it to the needy. Give it to your church. Give it to your missionaries. Do something, get it out of you so that it can get into somebody else. Amen? We have a message of hope. Let's live it.